You all set, subcommittee member?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the May 1, 2023 Joint School Collaboration City Council Subcommittee regular meeting to order at 6:09. Will the recording secretary please call roll?
Thank you, subcommittee member. Subcommittee member Vasquez,
Present.
subcommittee member Alvarez,
Present.
subcommittee member Hernandez, subcommittee member Bustos.
Here.
Subcommittee member Lopez. Subcommittee member, you have a quorum.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is a time for public comments. Recording secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
Subcommittee member Alvarez, we do not have any public comments at this point in time.
Next on the agenda is the consent calendar. Item 1 is the minutes of the regular meeting of April 3rd, 2023. Item 2 is excused absences. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of April 3, 2023 meeting and excused absences?
I'll motion to approve.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we do a roll call vote?
Subcommittee member Vasquez,
Here, is it yay?
subcommittee member Alvarez,
Yes.
subcommittee member Bustos.
Yes.
Duly noted.
This is the end of the consent calendar, and I shall now be turning the meeting over to Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarado. Okay, so today we have 2 items under new business. I will turn this over to Parks and Rec for item 1.
Vice Chair, item 1 will be update on the master joint use agreement.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've got Tim here with me as well, just to discuss what's been going on. Tim and the team have been meeting collectively with the Santa Ana Unified School District, their TAC meetings. So they've been, and Tim could probably go more into details. I can give you an update. We recently had a meeting. I had meetings with Orrin Williams, the principal from Fremont, and myself, which was a very positive meeting, which has kind of morphed into what we're looking for long-term with the school district as a master joint use, which would be separated into 4 things. 1 would be facilities and parking. 2 would be, parks, open space. 3 would be athletics, sports field / courts. And 4th would be maintenance and janitorial. So we had an opportunity to sit down and kind of create one there with Fremont and El Salvador Park. From that meeting, we've got a good bunch of information, and next week on May 9th, I am actually meeting with the superintendent over in his office to go over that to see if we can get one in place, and that could be what could lead into the master agreement. So that's where we're at in that. And then like I said, if Tim wants to update the TAC, you can ask him any questions. But that's where we're at on that. Again, it's positive, it's moving forward, but again, there's still some work to be done. So if we got any questions.
Superintendent, did you want to add anything?
No, just to reiterate what was already stated, we do have a meeting next week in my office to kind of go over the conversations that's taken place. And we're very optimistic about potentially what this means for the district as well as the city.
Okay, thank you. And just quickly, so I know we're working on the master plan, but the pilot section, so we had also discussed like Godinez, I believe. Is that moving forward? Is that in the same place, timeline?
I'm gonna bring it Tim Pagano up with that one.
Good afternoon. Yeah, your staff members from the city and both the school district have been working pretty consistently since the fall of last year. We've reprised the technical advisory committee, which is I guess, the ad hoc to the ad hoc to discuss matters of joint use. And so during our time together, we've identified quite a few joint use agreements, Hector Godinez being one of them. And we utilize that joint use agreement as our model because it is one of the biggest and involves obviously a lot of park space being at Centennial Park, and with Godinez High School being a unique high school, being on park land and everything. So we identified that there are a few areas of opportunity over there that we needed to kind of square away before we started going into identifying the other active joint use agreements, which currently we have pulled our resources together, both the school district and also the city. And we have identified separately and together that we have 16 active joint use agreements. They vary from site to site, obviously, because there are different nuances of each agreement. But what we're trying to do, and which Hawk just mentioned, trying to find the commonality so that we can essentially find that sweet spot is where we have one agreement between both the school district and the city. So it's kind of like the one agreement to rule them all. So with that being said, in terms of the pilot, we're still working on identifying all the different nuances between the city and specifically the Godinez High School. And we're getting there. There's been quite a few things that we can identify where we've made progress, but still, like Hawk said, there's still a lot of area of opportunity for us to kind of work together on.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
Do any of the subcommittee members have questions?
Yeah, I just have a request. We could also look at there's an area in Santa Ana in the Ward 2, Martin Elementary. That neighborhood has no parks within that area. And Martin Elementary is a huge park, and the backside's divided up already by a fence. The park's divided by itself. So that would be a great place to have a park as well for the city on the weekends, after school, and things of that nature. So that's a neighborhood that has not a park around it for a while.
Other subcommittee members?
Thank you. It's great to hear that conversations are moving. I think something that would be helpful to me, and I'm curious to hear if other subcommittee members would agree, but it's good to hear y'all are having a meeting next week. What would it be helpful for me is to receive an update from that meeting prior to our next scheduled meeting, just so that we can have a more robust conversation next time around. And we can, come with questions prepared, comments prepared, again, just so we can keep moving. And it's not just something that we talk about, once a month. And it's something that we're actively engaging in. That would be helpful for me. Curious to hear if it's helpful for others as well.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay.
Like to make
Yeah,
a
of
comment
course.
if possible, just for logistics of the conversations that are taking place. Just so there's the conversations have been ongoing for months now. Prior to my arrival, I understand that the joint committee was coming together to try and resolve some issues. The way this process works is because we're dealing with two separate elected bodies. The conversations that were taking place with staff still have to go back to each respective body for discussion and approval. So just wanted to be clear, and the public knew that although we may be getting closer to some sort of consensus, that there is still conversation that needs to take place with both of our respective bodies. And then once we get direction from the city council and from the school board, then we come back together as a group to kind of iron out those nuances there. And then with the hope of coming to a final agreement for both bodies to approve at some point.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. I think my understanding of your request is so that these meetings, since we've been appointed from our respective bodies to work with staff on not just the master agreement, but the specific agreements that you mentioned, Tim, continue to move forward. Because one of the things that we expressed during the last meeting was that these conversations have been happening for what feels like over a year now. And we just want to make sure that each meeting we're progressing and not just hearing the same thing of like, we're having conversations. Because I know that that can be frustrating on your end, it can be frustrating on our end. So we're just hoping to see progress move forward. And I think having time to digest, your perspectives on both sides is going to be helpful for us to see how we can support or where we can offer additional help. Yeah.
Thank you for your work, fellas.
Bill's kind of like our note,
yeah.
yeah, he's got all that. He's got a whole presentation. He can go over these steps and everything that has to do with that. So
Okay.
I will turn it over to Mr. Sandoval.
That works. Thank you.
Good evening, vice chairs and members of the subcommittee. Typically, elections are held every July for each of the bodies, where we do it in July, and in August, the incoming vice chair and chairperson takes over the meetings at that point in time. I know that subcommittee member Bustos wanted some information on that. It is the recommendation, since we are close to July, that we continue at this rate, and then once we come to July, we can do elections at that point in time, and then come August, the new chairperson and vice chair can take over at that point in time, at the pleasure of the subcommittees as well.
Okay. Thank you, Recording Secretary. Subcommittee members, do you have any response, questions, concerns that you would like the body to consider? No? Okay. So then your recommendation is that we wait till July? Did I hear that correctly?
That is affirmative, vice chairperson.
Okay. So I'm assuming that everybody's fine with that recommendation. Go ahead.
I have a question, I guess, in the case where, now we are right closer to July, so I'm okay with waiting until July, but in the case, let's say this happened in December, right? Would we still wait until July, or what's the procedure for that?
So at that point in time, the subcommittee can definitely take a vote to see who would be the next vice chairperson and chairperson, if you will. But then in July, we would have to go through that election process again.
Okay, thank you. I'm fine with that then.
Okay, thank you for that recommendation, Recording Secretary. The body is going to accept it. And next on the agenda are subcommittee member comments, and we will start with subcommittee member Alvarez.
I wanted to start off by thanking the staff on both agencies for the work. I know that conversations have been going on for some time, but I concur with school board member Bustos, that it's not just about having these conversations, but it's about having movement, even if it's little baby steps, which I think originally that's what's going to end up happening. But I'm feeling really optimistic because there's a lot of things that we can do. We haven't, I think with joint use agreements, we haven't even scratched the surface yet, because we're just trying to tidy up everything that we currently have. So I just want to say I'm feeling optimistic.
Okay, thank you. Subcommittee member Hernandez.
Yes, thank you, everybody. My apologies for my tardiness today. I had some scheduling conflicts, but nonetheless, very happy to see more information on the elections. I just want to be frank. I have no interest for any of them. I just want to serve. So whatever we could do to get us there is why I'm here. But on the master joint use agreement, I just want to say that I am very supportive of seeing this done. In Fremont, I know that this is a school site that I advocated for, and Willard is a park port community. So we do see that relationship is a fruitful one for residents, and residents in the Washington Square neighborhood also would like to see Wilshire be a school that is also part of this discussion of joint use agreements. So just want to be on the record that I'm supportive of what's being presented, and looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you. Subcommittee member Bustos.
Thank you. I guess just, going back to the joint use agreement, I think it really is right. I want to first of all thank staff for the work that you all are doing to help push this forward. And I think it's just important, right, that we're communicating, right, not only with us, but also with the public, because there has been a lot of interest in how can the city and the school board work together to be able to solve a lot of the issues that our community is facing. And so it's important that we're being open and transparent with our community about those conversations and the topic of those conversations. And it's good, right, to also acknowledge that we're two different bodies that have their own right procedures, that have to have their own separate discussions, but eventually we're here to have these conversations here and be this body to really, flesh some things out of the way so that when it comes back to our respective bodies, we have information to be able to share out with our colleagues. And so I'm really excited about the work we're doing here. I'm looking forward to more updates. And thank you for sharing that information on elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Subcommittee Member Busto. Subcommittee Member Vasquez?
Yeah, thank you again, gentlemen, for the work that you've done. Great confidence in what you're about to take on for the city. And I know the community is going to prosper because of the work that you're doing. At the last committee, I did ask if our workforce or our SAFE program can work with CTE from the school district to get internships for youth, specifically for the youth who have been trained and specifically programs that we have for CTE, whether it be engineering, we have a teach academy, we have a law academy at Santa Ana High School, and we have 6 at Valley High School. So we get some jobs. Internships are hard for us to get, but if we could work with the city to focus and being able to support each other, that would be great. When I say us, I'm a teacher, so it would be great if we can work together on that to really empower the youth of where they have been trained and get more internships that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Subcommittee Member Vasquez. I don't have any closing announcements, but I did want to thank staff for the work that you're doing and helping us get to this point. It's very exciting to hear that we're closer than ever to cementing something that is going to work for the district, the city, and for our families. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next regular meeting taking place on Monday, June 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. This is going to adjourn tonight. Thank you so much.
Vice Chair, can you adjourn the time of the meeting?
The current time?
Yeah.
6:26 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.